If you're running an Asia-focused strategy, there's a jurisdiction that's been quietly gaining ground, and that's Hong Kong. Since 2020, Hong Kong has rolled out two fund structures: the Limited Partnership Fund and the Open-Ended Fund Company, designed to compete with Singapore and Cayman for regional capital. And it's working. More managers are setting up shop in Hong Kong. More LPs are getting comfortable with it. But here's the nuance. Hong Kong is seen as regionally strong but globally limited. LPs in Asia may love it. LPs in New York or London, well, they're still warming up. This is part 5 of a 6-part series on fund domiciles and what LPs really see when they look at your jurisdiction. Today, we're breaking down Hong Kong, when it shines, when it doesn't, and how to position it strategically. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm Corey, a lawyer helping entrepreneurs decode law, technology, and innovation. In today's video, we're continuing our series on how LPs interpret fund domiciles and why your jurisdiction choice matters more than ever in 2026. Here's what we're covering today: what Hong Kong fund structures actually offer, the LFC and the OFC regimes, and then how LPs perceive Hong Kong, both the strengths and the limitations, and finally, when Hong Kong makes sense as your primary domicile versus a regional hub alongside another structure. So let's start with what Hong Kong actually offers. In 2020, Hong Kong introduced the Limited Partnership Fund, or LPF regime. This was a direct response to Singapore's VCC and Cayman's dominance. The goal here was simple: to give managers a reason to domicile in Hong Kong instead of going offshore. The LPF is designed for private equity, venture capital, real estate, and other closed-end strategies. It's a limited partnership structure familiar to most LPs, with registration through the company's registry. And then there's the Open-Ended Fund Company, the OFC, which has been around a bit longer, but it's got significant upgrades. The OFC is designed for open-ended strategies like hedge funds and liquid alternatives. Both structures are regulated by the Securities and Futures Commission, the FSC. And here's a key incentive: Hong Kong offers tax exemptions for qualifying funds. If you meet certain conditions, your fund's profits can be exempt from Hong Kong's profits tax. That's a meaningful benefit for managers building in the region. What LPs see: regional credibility. Now let's talk about the LP perspective. For LPs based in the region, family offices in Hong Kong, institutional investors in Greater China, regional allocators, Hong Kong signals credibility. They see the SFC oversight, they see onshore substance, they see alignment with the regional ecosystem, and increasingly they see the connection to mainland China. This is a big deal. The Cross-Boundary Wealth Management Connection Scheme in the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area, commonly called the Cross-Boundary WMC, and other cross-border initiatives are creating pathways between Hong Kong funds and mainland investors. So if your strategy involves China exposure or you're raising from mainland connected capital, Hong Kong positions you well. For regional LPs, the Hong Kong LPF reads as: this manager is serious about Asia. They have local presence and they operate under a credible regulator. That's a strong signal for the right audience. Here's where things get more complicated. For LPs outside of Asia, particularly in the US and Europe, Hong Kong doesn't carry the same automatic credibility. American institutions are trained to look at Delaware or Cayman. European allocators often default to Luxembourg or Ireland for their regulated fund needs. Hong Kong just isn't on the radar in the same way. It's not that they view Hong Kong negatively necessarily, it's more of they view it as regional. So when a US endowment sees Hong Kong LPF, they're not uncomfortable, but they're not automatically comfortable either. They may have questions. They may need education. They may require additional due diligence. And let's address the elephant in the room: geopolitical perception. Some Western LPs have concerns about Hong Kong's evolving relationship with mainland China. And fair or not, those concerns exist and they can affect allocation decisions. So the perception gap is real. Hong Kong is gaining ground, but it hasn't achieved the global recognition of China or the institutional trust of Delaware. When should Hong Kong be your primary fund domicile? And here's my framework. First, your LP base is primarily in Asia. If you're raising from Hong Kong family offices, Greater China institutions, or allocators across Southeast Asia, Hong Kong can make a lot of sense. In this case, you're speaking their language. Second, your investment strategy is Asia focused. If you're investing in Greater China, Southeast Asia, or Pan-Asian opportunities, having your fund domicile in the region signals commitment and alignment. Third, you want offshore substance and tax benefits. The combination of FSC oversight and the profits tax exemption is compelling if you're building real operations in Hong Kong. Fourth, you're leveraging China connectivity. If the cross-boundary WMC or other cross-border programs are relevant to your strategy, Hong Kong is positioned better than any other offshore alternative. If you check multiple boxes here, Hong Kong deserves a serious consideration as your primary vehicle. So here's where Hong Kong often makes the most sense as part of a multi-jurisdictional structure. Many managers raising across Asia and the West use Hong Kong as a regional hub rather than a primary fund domicile. So what does that look like? Your main fund might be a Cayman master or Delaware LP structure. These are both globally recognized and trusted. And then you establish a Hong Kong entity as your co-general partner, investment advisor, or regional management company. This gives you operational substance in Hong Kong. It gives you access to Hong Kong's tax benefits for your management fee income, and it positions you well for Asian LP relationships and deal sourcing. Meanwhile, your fund structure remains globally familiar. You can also use Hong Kong as a feeder for Asian LPs who prefer a regional entry point into an offshore master fund. The hybrid approach lets you get the best of both worlds, Hong Kong's regional advantages without sacrificing global LP accessibility. If you're using Hong Kong either as primary domicile or as a hub, here's how to position it effectively. First, you need to lead with the regulatory story. The FSC is a credible, respected regulator. You need to make sure that LPs understand that Hong Kong isn't a light touch jurisdiction. It's properly regulated as a financial center. Secondly, you need to explain your strategic logic, and this will be key. Why Hong Kong? Why does it connect to your investment strategy and your LP base or your operational needs? You don't want to let LPs wonder, you need to tell them the reason. Third, you need to address geopolitics proactively if needed. If you're talking to Western LPs who might have concerns, acknowledge the topic, explain how your structure manages any risks. The confidence and communication here beats avoidance. Fourth, highlight the tax efficiency. The profits tax exemption is a real benefit. For LPs focused on net returns, it's definitely worth mentioning. Fifth, show your governance standards. Just like Cayman or BVI, Hong Kong works best when paired with strong governance practices. Don't let the jurisdiction do all the work. Back it up with how you actually run the fund. Let's bring it together. Hong Kong has emerged as a legitimate fund domicile, especially for Asia-focused strategies and regional LP bases. The LPF and OFC structures, along with SFC oversight and tax benefits, make it compelling. But the global perception gap is real. Western markets aren't automatically comfortable with Hong Kong the way they are with Delaware or Cayman. Hong Kong works best when your LP base is in Asia, when your strategy is regional, or you're leveraging China connectivity through programs like cross-boundary WMC. For managers raising globally, Hong Kong often shines as a regional hub, a co-GP, advisor, or feeder alongside a Cayman or Delaware master fund structure. Your structure is going to speak louder than you do. Hong Kong says you're committed to Asia, and make sure that's the story you want to tell. So that's part 5 in the books, folks. In part 6, the final part in this series, we're heading to Japan. I'll break down the JLPS and the FIEA frameworks, why Japanese LPs value domestic structures, and when Japan makes sense for your fund. Plus, I'll wrap up the series with some big picture takeaways on how to think about jurisdiction strategically. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the finale. Join me on the path to decoding law, technology, and innovation to grow your business. Until next time.